Yeah. Well, the best times that I remember when we were young was with his twin brother Lynn, which is my godfather. He would take us to the Keys and take us diving. He taught me how to dive, spearfish, and how to chase lobsters. One day I'll always remember we were shooting at a grouper. He had the spear gun. He took a shot, missed, and was reloading the spear gun, and I had to follow the grouper to the next reef to keep an eye on it so he could follow me and shoot it. Well, I looked behind me to see where he was, and there was a 6-foot king barracuda at my fins. I was about 8 years old, I guess. I came out of that water, I was walking on water, screaming for my dad. Little did I know he was right behind me with his spear gun ready to shoot. So that was one of the happiest times I remember in the Keys. There were so many with all his brothers, Len and Ralph, and of course Phil was there sometime, and it was just a great time in the Keys. You can't beat the Florida Keys. Another thing I remember was his airboats. One time we were airboating and I was riding between his feet on the airboat that was made with a Volkswagen engine and a wooden prop, his first one. And he was skimming along the water and he went to put it into a slide to turn on the nose. And I just about fell out of the boat. But he brought it under control and straightened it up, and I stayed in the boat. But he was great with airboats. He even had one that had a Chevy motor on the V8. But it was so top heavy that it would almost swamp every time we go into a curve. Well, other things, he did so many things. He was a great sportsman. But another one of the things I remember, and he taught me how to scuba dive, was making fish nets. He loved the South Seas net, where they would cast for mullet in the surf. You could see the fish running through the surf. And of course, he was great. He knew when the fish were there, he'd throw the net, and sure as the world, he'd bring in a net full. I think he was better than Peter when it came to fishing.
And the girl's job on that was to clean all the mullet after he got it to use for bait.
But his favorite mullet was smoked mullet, because mullet is kind of gamey unless it's smoked, so he loves smoked mullet. Oh yeah, another thing, he was a very good free diver. Of course, he was in such good shape that him and Lynn both, but I think he was a little better free diver. He could free dive up to 100 feet without a tank. He would hold his breath, go down, search the reef, and come right back up. How he kept from exploding his lungs, I'll never know, but I guess he had a big set of lungs.
Yes, he did. Well, he used to practice in the bathtub. We'd see him laying in the tub with his watch, and he'd hold his head under and then he'd time himself to see how long he could stay under.
So there was many good times in the Keys and scuba diving and fish netting and casting and fishing. Another thing we used to do is go to New Smyrna Beach. It was the best beach. And they used to have the old guard towers where they used to watch for enemy ships to come in. And they were big wooden towers. So after they evacuated the tower, they let people go around, climb on them, scrape the pilings or whatever. But anyhow, he took a parachute one night and built a tent out of a parachute and hung it from one of the guard towers. And I'll never forget, the family was in the tent sleeping under the parachute. And we had been chasing fiddler crabs, the ones that got the big antennae. Anyhow, we all went to sleep, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, I guess it was, I woke up screaming. I thought the crab had me. Scared the family to death. Dad didn't know what was going on. He thought somebody was coming in the tent. But anyhow, he got me calmed down, and the crab didn't get me. Another thing I remember is he would take us over to the launches. And the first launch that I saw and this was a great one for me, was John Glenn in 1962. We went to the Mercury 7, which was Friendship 7, which was five children and 2 parents, which made 7. So we were Friendship 7. But anyhow, we got to see John Glenn go up in Friendship 7. And to me, in the 4th grade, I think, it was a big experience. Of course, there was many other launches. We saw the Apollo launch when they went to the moon, and we saw a few shuttles, but I think both him and I were astronauts at heart. Of course, he had more military service than I did, but we both adored the Cape.